You're then implementing pollution prevention in manufacturing.
A manufacturing industry conference. Dr. Sofia Chen, pollution prevention specialist, is being interviewed about successful implementation strategies.
Today, we're speaking with Dr. Sofia Chen, who has led numerous pollution prevention initiatives across the manufacturing sector. Dr. Chen, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm delighted to share some insights from my experience.
Let's start with the basics. Many companies are still focusing on end-of-pipe solutions rather than pollution prevention. Why do you think that is?
That's an excellent question. When I started working in this field 20 years ago, I noticed the same pattern. Companies were investing millions in treatment systems while ignoring opportunities to prevent pollution at the source. There are several reasons for this tendency. First, end-of-pipe solutions are often more straightforward to implement. You add a filter or treatment system without changing your core processes. Second, many engineers had been trained to think in terms of control rather than prevention. And third, regulatory frameworks historically had focused on emission limits rather than production processes.
How has this changed over time?
Significantly. By the time I joined the Environmental Protection Agency in 2010, the paradigm had already begun to shift. Rising disposal costs, stricter regulations, and competitive pressures were driving more companies toward prevention strategies. One manufacturing client I worked with had been spending over 500,000 euros annually on hazardous waste disposal. While they were considering a major investment in an on-site treatment facility, we conducted a pollution prevention assessment that identified opportunities to reduce waste generation by 70% through process modifications and material substitution.
Can you walk us through your approach to implementing pollution prevention in a manufacturing facility?
Of course, we follow a structured methodology that has evolved over many years. Before we developed this approach, we had tried various ad hoc methods with limited success. We begin with a comprehensive assessment. This involves mapping material flows, identifying waste streams, and quantifying both environmental impacts and associated costs. While we are conducting this assessment, we engage employees at all levels. They often have invaluable insights about inefficiencies and potential solutions. Next, we develop a prioritized list of opportunities based on environmental impact, technical feasibility, and financial return. We had found that starting with quick wins builds momentum and support for more complex initiatives.
Can you give us an example of a successful implementation?
One of my favorite examples is a metal finishing company I worked with 3 years ago. They had been using a traditional chromium plating process that generated hazardous waste and posed significant worker safety risks. While the environmental manager was researching treatment options, a process engineer suggested investigating alternative plating technologies. After extensive testing, they implemented a trivalent chromium process that eliminated the most hazardous waste stream and reduced water consumption by 60%. The initial investment was 175,000 euros, but they achieved payback within 14 months through reduced waste disposal, water, and regulatory compliance costs.
What about barriers to implementation? What challenges have you encountered?
The technical challenges are rarely the most difficult. The biggest barriers are typically organizational. Before I understood this, I had been focusing primarily on technical solutions, which limited our success. Resistance to change is common, particularly when current processes have been operating for many years. Production managers worry about disruptions, quality impacts, and learning curves. Financial officers question investment returns, and without strong leadership support, pollution prevention initiatives often stall.
How do you overcome these barriers?
We have developed several strategies. First, we ensure that pollution prevention is framed as a business improvement initiative. not just an environmental program. We quantify all benefits, including reduced material and disposal costs, regulatory compliance savings, and risk reduction. Second, we involve key stakeholders from the beginning. Before we implement any changes, we make sure that production, maintenance, engineering, and quality teams have participated in the evaluation process. Third, we start with pilot projects to demonstrate effectiveness before full-scale implementation. When the metal finishing company I mentioned earlier was considering the new plating process, they first tested it on a single production line. While they were running the pilot, they collected extensive data on quality, efficiency, and environmental performance.
What about employee engagement? How important is that?
Absolutely critical. The most successful programs tap into the knowledge and creativity of employees at all levels. When I first started consulting, I made the mistake of relying too heavily on management and technical experts. I had been overlooking the valuable insights of frontline workers who knew the processes intimately. Now we incorporate employee engagement from day one. We conduct awareness sessions, establish suggestion systems, and create cross-functional teams. At one facility, an equipment operator suggested a simple modification to the cleaning process that reduced solvent use by 40%. He had been thinking about this improvement for years, but hadn't had a channel to share his idea.
Looking ahead, how do you see pollution prevention evolving in the manufacturing sector?
I see three major trends. First, integration with broader sustainability initiatives. While companies initially had been treating pollution prevention as a standalone program, they now are incorporating it into comprehensive sustainability strategies that address climate, resources, and social impacts. Second, increased focus on supply chain and product life cycle. Companies are recognizing that many environmental impacts occur outside their direct operations. They are working with suppliers on material selection and redesigning products for reduced life cycle impacts. Third, digitalization and Industry 4.0 technologies are creating new opportunities for pollution prevention. Advanced sensors, data analytics, and automation enable more precise control of processes, reducing waste and emissions.
Final question. What advice would you give to a company just starting their pollution prevention journey?
Start with a thorough assessment to understand your current state and opportunities. Focus on building internal capability rather than relying solely on external experts. Secure leadership commitment and engage employees at all levels. Begin with projects that offer quick wins and clear benefits. And remember that pollution prevention is a journey, not a destination. There are always new opportunities to discover.
Dr. Chen, thank you for these valuable insights.
My pleasure. Thank you for helping spread the pollution prevention message.